So this is me when I first started playing Tarkov. An absolute Timmy, didn't know what kind of ammo to use, run around, shooting a single fire weapon that had full auto, wondering why my bullets are like BBs and bouncing off the opponent's armor. So coming from COD, I didn't realize that you have to shoot for the head in Tarkov. So I was constantly getting killed. Now fast forward 1,000 hours and this is me in Escape from Tarkov. Wiping duos, hip firing like a champ, and really acting like a Chad. Listen, Escape from Tarkov is a game that combines intense realism with an even intenser learning curve. So if you're new to this extraction shooter, then you might feel a little bit overwhelmed. But don't worry, because in this video, we're going to dive into my first 1,000 hours in Escape from Tarkov and what makes Tarkov so challenging. That way you can tackle that learning curve effectively. So it don't matter whether you're a brand new player or an experienced player, there's some tips and tricks in here for you. So let's get into it. So listen, we can't get started without discussing the basics of Tarkov. So Tarkov isn't your typical first-person shooter. It's hardcore and realistic. And making a bad decision can cost you your loot, your time, and your patience. So that's why for the first tip, we're going to talk about ammo. The type of ammunition you use is crucial because different ammo types have varying characteristics that affect damage, penetration, and effectiveness against armor. Damage. This is how much health you can take away from an enemy. Higher damage means you can potentially take down an opponent faster. Penetration. This is how well the bullet can go through the armor. Some rounds are designed to penetrate armor better than others. Now for the types of ammo. Full metal jacket, which is generally cheaper and has decent penetration but lower damage. It's good for shooting unarmored opponents if you're trying to conserve money. Hollow point. Higher damage but lower penetration. Good for fighting unarmored scavs or players in close quarters. Then you got the armor piercing rounds, designed to penetrate more armor more effectively. These rounds are essential for fighting armored players later on in the wipe, and an example being BP armor, which is excellent against armor, making it useful in those PvP scenarios where you expect heavily chatted out players. Your ammo is going to have a situational use. Depending on what you're doing in the game is going to dictate what ammo you use. Are you going in to fight scavs or are you going in to fight players? When you're fighting scavs, you might not need the higher penetration rounds as they're often wearing lower tier armor. Against players, especially the ones that are wearing higher level armors, you want to ensure your ammo can penetrate effectively. And in some maps, like Reserve or Customs, you'll encounter more armored opponents. And in other maps like Shoreline and Interchange, you'll find a mix. So make sure you're adjusting your loadout accordingly. Another thing to consider is cost versus effectiveness. High penetration ammo often costs more, and you usually can't buy it off the flea unless it's under 41 pen in patch 15. So you would have to craft it. Balancing your budget with your expected opponents can help you decide what to bring into a raid. Choosing the right ammo can mean the difference between life or death in Escape from Tarkov. So always consider who you're likely to encounter, what they might be wearing, and how much you're willing to spend if you got the rubles. As you play more, you'll get a feel for what rounds work best in different scenarios. So you got an idea about the ammo, but what weapon you're going to put it in. Learning about the various weapons and the modding of the weapons in Escape from Tarkov is extremely important for elevating your gameplay. Each weapon in EFT has unique stats such as damage, recoil, accuracy, and fire rate. Knowing which weapons excel in different situations can significantly improve your chances in firefights. For example, the AK-74 is great for close to mid-range combat, while the M700 sniper rifle excels at long-range engagements. Choosing the right weapon for the right scenario can give you a tactical advantage over other players. EFT allows extensive modification of weapons. You can add scopes, suppressors, grips, the list goes on to enhance performance based on your specific playstyle. For example, adding a suppressor to a rifle reduces the noise, making it much harder for enemies to pinpoint your location, and a vertical grip can reduce your recoil, allowing for more accurate shots. Tailoring your weapon to the specific map is huge. Different maps and situations may require different setups. Being proficient in weapon modding lets you adapt your loadout to meet those challenges. For example, in Factory, a compact SMG with a reflex sight might be more effective than a long-range rifle, which you would bring into a map like Lighthouse or Shoreline. Now, an excellent free tool that I'm going to give you guys for learning how to do weapon modding effectively is the Tarkov Gunsmith. So instead of just messing around with the hundreds of attachments are in Tarkov, what you can do is come to tarkovgunsmith.com and build a weapon based on your playstyle, whether you want to build it for being silenced, whether you want to build it for being loud, whether you want to build it for recoil, meta ergonomics. And what Tarkov Gunsmith will do for you is also take into consideration your trader levels and the attachments available to you. So a quick tutorial on this, come to the weapon builder right here, and in this top left hand category you can select what your player level is. And what this will do is, if you see on the right hand side, it will adjust where the trader level should be based on your level in the game, and also knowing that you're over 15 you have access to the flea market. I'm just going to max this out real quick, that way it's showing all level 4 traders. And down here in muzzle device mode, you can build the weapon to either be loud, silenced, or any. You can build the weapon for recoil, meta recoil, ergo, or meta ergo. You can also choose whether or not you're bartering for it, whether or not you're paying cash, and whether or not you are going based off of the flea market. So I'm going to just act like we are going for a silenced weapon made for meta recoil, and we're just going to pay cash for it. That gives us a total of 144 possible weapons. I'm just going to go with a simple AK because that's a weapon that that everybody's going to have, and we're going to build it out. So as you can see over here, it'll give you the final cost of the weapon as well as letting you know the ergo and recoil of the weapon. Here's a list of weapons parts that you need to buy, a lot of them being very easy to just mod in Tarkov's weapon modification system itself anyways. So slap all these on your gun, build the weapon, and it takes all the thinking away from you doing this yourself. Really ninja way to build weapons in Tarkov and to learn the weapon customization without being an absolute brainiac with the numbers.
Okay, Tarkov, here we are.
Where are we?
No idea.
Okay, I'll just pull up my map, hang on. No, there's no map.
So you hop into a raid and you quickly find out that Tarkov has no navigational system. None at all. You load into a raid and you have no idea where you are, and you're faced with a bunch of extract locations that you don't know how to find. Map knowledge is essential in Escape from Tarkov for survival, looting, and making yourself more of an effective player, especially if you're a beginner. You need to understand the key loot locations, other player spawns, boss spawns, so you can have good pathing, especially when you're tasking. So how do we counteract this as a new player, or even maybe a beginner player with minimal map knowledge? One of the resources that I like to use is Map Genie. Now Map Genie has a free version and a paid version. I think it's like $10 for the year. I paid for it because I think it's extremely worth it, but you don't have to. All you have to do is come here, click Escape from Tarkov, and a list of the Tarkov maps will come up. We'll use Shoreline as an example. Now here's the entire map of Shoreline. And what I like about Map Genie is you can come over here to the left side and you could filter by what you want to look at. Clicking on and off extractions will bring up all the extractions. The yellow ones indicate that they are a scav extraction. The green indicate that it's a PMC extraction, and the blue ones indicate that they could be used by both. Clicking on and off spawn points will give you the potential spawn points for PMCs on the map. And what I like about this, if you notice your spawning scout tower, you know that there's 2 PMC spawns to your immediate left and to your immediate right. So instead of being a regular Timmy and just running and getting domed by both these guys, you'll know that they're there, and you can look for them as you start the match. If you're looking for quest items, you can also turn this off and on, and that'll show you around the various parts of the map where you're able to find each quest item for tasks, so very helpful. You can also learn where the hotspots on the map are. As Shoreline, the hotspot is at the resort, and as you learn where the spawns are, you will learn how to avoid heavy PvP areas so that you can maximize your looting. You can also pair this with in-game offline raids, turning off the AI, that way you're just freely allowed to run around the map and learn key areas and key extraction points. So Map Genie is extremely helpful. They have maps on Factory, Interchange, Lab, every single Tarkov map. Again, there's a paid version and there's a free version. You can also just Google the maps and try to learn them that way. You can also take advantage of your scav learning the map because it's a little bit lower risk you getting killed and not losing your primary PMC gear. So make sure you're familiarizing yourself with the maps. That way you improve your chances of survival, maximizing your loot potentials, and becoming a more effective player, especially with pathing and knowing where other PMCs are going to spawn. Trust me, it'll pay off big in future raids. Alright, so you know the ammo, you know how to mod a gun, and you know your way around the map. There's a few more things we got to go into before we can start to become a Chad. And the first one of those things being, how are we going to fund our Chad gear? Now, patch 15 has made it as easy as possible to make rubles. So I'm just going to show you a few examples of flea flipping and making unlimited US dollars. That way you can keep this well-oiled machine rolling. So hopping in EFT, I'll show you a few examples of what I do to keep my rubles top notch. Now, I was saying that with patch 15, there is no found in raid requirement to sell things on the flea. That means that I can take this statue that is not found in raid, and I can easily just go and flip it onto the flea market for money. So even if you die in a raid, the stuff that you come out with, whether it's in your secure pouch or whatever, you are able to sell back on the flea market. But it also means you can take stuff off of regular traders and resell it back onto the flea market. I'll show you what I mean right now. So you see that there's a barter for a money case for therapists. Right now that barter is going for 5 gold chains, 2 rollers, and 2 skulls. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to buy the 5 chains, which equals roughly to about 125,000 rubles. I'll buy the 2 rollers, even though I already have one. That'll be another 100,000. And then we'll buy the 2 skulls. That's another 100,000. So about 325,000. I will secure the money case, we'll locate it in our stash, and we'll sell it back onto the fleet for 600. So a quick 100% return on investment. It costs us about 325k to barter for, and we're selling it for 600. Easy way to make rubles, flea flipping trader items. Now if we go to Peacekeeper, we can go to level 3, and all we have to do is search for things that we can buy for cheap and resell for a higher amount. So we'll purchase all 10 of these. Then we'll go to add offer. We'll auto select similar. And this guy's selling his for 65. So we'll try to get this quick sell and sell them for 60. And bam, that's an easy way to make sure that you continuously have rubles, even if you're dying in a raid. If you guys are utilizing Ref, Ref has the biggest flea flip possible. And that's on Ref 4. Not really attainable for everybody. But basically, you just buy a GPU and then resell it on the flea market for whatever the going rate is. And that essentially takes 48 GP coins and turns them into 700,000 rubles. It's the best exchange rate right now of GP coins to rubles. So it's really easy to make money this way. You shouldn't have a problem. Make sure you're utilizing your scav properly, bringing out high tier loot and anything you can find in that category so you can keep a constant flow of rubles, a constant flow of US dollars. That way you're never worried about money and you're able to just kit up for your raids. All right, so whether you're a new player, whether you've been playing for a little while, you should have a basic grasp of the fundamentals now. The fundamentals of Tarkov. It's what you need to know to get the game, figure it out. So it's time. It's time to ascend into Chatham. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to kit up for a raid. I'm going to show you what to bring, what you need, set you up for success, give you a clear path so you know what you're doing. And I'm going to show you the most efficient way to do it. That way, if you have teammates, they aren't waiting 30 minutes for you to ready up because you know that that's the worst. So here's my blank character right here. I do have the Epsilon pouch because I finished the Punisher task series. I'll have a video coming on that. So get a few extra slots here. Some of you might not have access to that, some of you might. Just adjust it, all right? Adjust the items in your pouch accordingly. What I like to do is I like to run heal items in my pouch, so I get the serve 12. I have my injector case. I have my sick case that I can have my keys and money and put dog tags in, and then I leave room for what I'll show you in a minute. The fastest way to load out for a raid that we can go in, go out, go in, go out, your friends aren't waiting for you, is to use these. As you notice, I got stuff all over my stash. And what a lot of players will do is they'll come in here and they'll spend 20 minutes trying to find everything and dragging it over. It's not the way to do it. All right, simple and easy. So the first thing we're going to start off with is our ears. Ears are super important if you want to play at a high level. You need to be able to hear those audio cues. The game is about information, and having as much information as you can possibly get from buying better ears, totally worth it. We go through, throw on my contact 4s. I like running those. Now I need a helmet. I'm going to go through, see what I got in here. Throw on my Bastion, which is a really good level 4 helmet. You can get it from Ragman. Now I'm gonna go and look for my face covers. See, this is very streamlined. I don't gotta go through my entire loadout, my entire stash to find my gear. I can have it organized over there. That way I can put stuff away properly. And when I'm ready to go into a raid, I can just pull it out this way. So now I need a tack rig. So now here's where you gotta decide whether or not you're gonna rock body armor and a tack rig, or you're gonna rock a tack rig that already has body armor in it. If I click on here, I can see the body armors that I got. If I were to choose one of these, I would have to put a tack rig on top of it. So to keep it simple, we'll go in and we'll rock this A18 Skanda because I want to be able to put as many mags as I can in it, as well as having a backpack. Throw on one of my backpacks. Loadout right here, it gives me the most efficient space for looting and putting mags in, and a decently sized backpack to put a tack rig in so that if I kill a player, I can get out with his stuff. All right, now I'm going to grab a weapon. And for this raid, I'm going to shoreline. So I want something with a scope. But I also want something that can get a little close range in case I roll into the health resort, in case I go into the mill camp. I want to be able to get those close range kills. So I'm going to go with this M4A1, which is the barter from Mechanic. It's sitting in my inventory. Now that I got my gun, I'm going to unload it. I'm going to grab a few more mags. And unfortunately with magazines, you do have to transfer those over. There is a quick way, but there may be a quick way, but I'm going to use it. So what I like to do is I like to bring in 3 mags. I keep a majority of my ammo inside my pouch. Easiest way to load magazines, right click on them. Load ammo. Now this will give you ammo that is incompatible with the gun. If I were to put blackout in here and then put that in there, it would render the gun useless. So make sure you don't do that. If you want to unload it, take it out of there. Now I'm looking for 5.56 ammo. Now I don't want to just go into this raid and die and lose all the ammunition I got. So here's how I load a magazine. I'll put that 30 of A1 in there. I unload it. Then I'll go and take some of the lower tier ammo, load it, unload it. Now what I'll do is I'll click on this and I'll put it in half. Click on that, put it in half. Now I got 15 of each ammo. Now I'll take the lower tier ammo and I'll put them in first. Then I'll take the higher tier ammo and I'll put it on top of that. Basically, what that does, and I'll obviously repeat it for this one. So load this ammo. Say 1, unload that. SOST, unload that. 15 there, put that in there. Get rid of this, okay? I'll load that again. I'll load more ammo.
because I'm gonna show you something that I like to do. Load ammo. I'll put 30 more in there. I'll load that again. I'll put the low tier ammo back in, good ammo back in. Now it leaves me with 60. Get rid of that. What I do is I bring this down here and I'll put this inside of my pouch. That way, if I run out of the ammunition that I brought in, I can repack mags while in the raid. So the reason I do this is because I like to put the better ammo at the top. That way, if I run into players right off the rip, I have good ammo ready to go. I'm not expending all my ammo, and if I die, I've only lost 45 A1s instead of 90. That's the way you should be loading your mags if you have good ammo. If you're expecting to PvP right off the rip, if you're expecting to see scavs, just bring in that lower tier ammo and run the lower tier ammo and try not to run into any of that PvP. It's going to depend on what you're doing going into the raid. Every Chad's going to run some grenades. So we're going to go into my grenade case. We're going to grab a few grenades. Throw those in our pockets. Now what I also like to do is I also like to run injectors. So I'm going to grab my SJ6. If I were to spawn shoreline in a spawn that would allow me to get to the health resort first, what I'll do is I'll pop this SJ6, get unlimited stamina, and I'll make sure that I get there first. That way I'll be able to set up to kill anybody or to hear them coming in as they push into the health resort. Now I want to be able to quickly access my grenades in game without fumbling around. So all you have to do is hover over the grenades here and hit a hotkey. We'll set that one to 9. We'll set that one to 7. And then I want to be able to quickly use this when I hop into the raid. So we'll set that to 4. So all that means now is that when you load into the raid, all you have to do is press that corresponding button. It'll either pull up the grenade or it'll use the SJ6. You can also do this with heals in your tac rig. So you can change them as you want. So put any heal in here and change it to the corresponding button. All you have to do is hover over onto it, press it. So we're done with grenades, we're done with ammo, we got our gun, we got our backpack. The last thing we got to do is we got to bring in some heals, all right? Obviously in Escape from Tarkov, you can get light bleeds, heavy bleeds, you can black out your limbs, and you can get fractures. So it's really important to have something that can handle all of that. If you can afford grizzlies, bring in grizzlies. Grizzlies can literally take care of everything. Removes fractures, removes concussions, removes radiation exposure, bleeds and light bleeds, 5-second use time for all that. Obviously, really practical if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, you can always break it down into AFACs, splints, bandages, and some type of painkiller. I like to use morphines. That's why I like to bring in my injectors, because basically you can do all these heals with the injectors themselves. There's a Gustin to stop the light and heavy bleeds, and the Propital to regenerate the health. Now, if you get a blacked out limb, you're going to need a surgical kit. So you get to get the Serv 12 or the CMS kit, which is 5 out of 5 instead of 15 out of 15. I like to leave my Serv kits in my pouch. That way, if I die, I still have those. And then sparingly, I'll bring heals in. So usually, I'll run a Grizzly just to make things easy. And then I'll have my injectors ready to go. That way, if I need those quickly in a pinch, I can use those. If I'm expecting to be in the raid for a long time, I will bring some food. I'm not expecting to be in this raid that long, so I'm not going to bring any food. But generally, I will bring in something. But generally, if I'm expecting to be in a long time, I will bring in waters and iskras. But for the purposes of the video, I'm not going to do that. If you intend to be in the raid for a long time, obviously, either loot that or bring it in. So that is how I quickly kit up for a raid. Doesn't take long. Keep in mind what you're doing in the raid, whether you're going in for PvP, whether you're going in for long range, whether you're going to be going to factory for close range. Make sure you have your grenades, make sure you have your heals, make sure you're loading your magazines appropriately. Don't just be bringing in 400 rounds of ammo and getting killed right off rip. That's going to cost you dearly. Listen, if you're interested in becoming a felon and joining us here in the penitentiary for the video game streams, I've posted the links in the description below to my TikTok and Twitch. I stream on all those platforms. If you found value in the video, please consider liking, subscribing. We got a lot more content coming on this channel. My name's Skrong, and I will see you on the next one.